Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Skagit Storytellers. This episode is brought to you by a snow day. I thankfully got the day off work and decided to avoid starting a course I had just registered for and do this episode instead. It's been a stressful couple weeks getting the farm ready to list, so I just wanted to do this to relax as well. The plan now is to list on Wednesday, March 13th with an open house next weekend. Just a reminder, we have 4.6 acres of fenced, flat farmland with pasture that's perfect for a cow or some sheep. We had sheep on it. And our house has 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, a view of several hills that I will miss the most. Well, aside from our awesome neighbors. Send me a message if you have any questions about the property. Okay, before you get into all the musician stories, I have to promote a couple special shows coming up in the Valley. There's usually 2 or 3 events that I want to attend each weekend, but these ones are very important. So, May the 4th is also known as Star Wars Day. May the Force be with you. And you should dress up in Star Wars gear and then go see 2 of the Valley's most infamous groups, Pavlov Jones and Fanny Alger at the Old Edison. That's right, Steve. I said Pavlov Jones and Fanny Alger at the Old Edison on May the 4th. But the same day, there's also a fundraiser up north in Ferndale called Grovestock, and that features a whole bunch of bands for several hours. I'll just highlight a couple of them. Friends for the Ghost, that's Wes Jones's group, and Cory Vincent and his electric band. So that's also on May the 4th. But today is March the 5th, though. And here's a show that I think everyone should go see in a couple of days. Jeremy Abbott, Curtis Moore, Sandy Rowe, and my favorite, Zach Michaud, are playing a fundraiser show in 2 days, Thursday, March the 7th in Stanwood. So it's a fundraiser for the daughter of a woman who was really important to the scene, music scene down south. Stina Lee was a bartender and booker for the Boxcar in Stanwood. I asked Zach if he could tell me about her. He said she brought the best of the best in singer-songwriters to Stanwood on a weekly basis. Always had a smiling face with a mountain load of sass. She was a key element to what made the Boxcar a fantastic music venue. The show starts at 7. It's all ages until 9 p.m. when it's 21 and older. It's $20 at the door. All proceeds from the door and auction go towards Stina's daughter, Kyra. So thanks to Zach for telling me why this show was so important to him. Stina seemed like someone I would have enjoyed meeting, and I'm glad that her music community is helping out her daughter. Alright guys, enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening. Be safe, be of use, and go do something hard.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers with Liz Rankin.
It's my first intro with Olive.
Hello there.
She's British now.
Hello there, humans.
We just got... Stop, please. Stop. We just got home from... So Olive's in the back seat of the Prius, and she'll just start imitating him, just speaking in this really deep voice. Yeah. Just out of nowhere.
Another place, another time.
Hey, their eardrums are being blown out, right?
Oh, Flirp's
Did you
back.
say yeet or be yeeted?
Flirp's back.
Our stray cat.
She's not stray.
That hangs out in our house is back.
Look at her.
She's a tuxedo cat. We really like her.
Tuxedo cat.
She's a what?
She's a pretty tuxedo cat.
Sure, yeah.
She's very chubby, though. Chubby.
Oh, sacrifice a puppy for love.
Sacrifice a puppy for love. You gotta sacrifice a puppy for love. Multiple puppies. she was like, oh, hell no. And
That's what she said in her cat voice.
Oh, hell no. No, this is what she said.
Oh my god, this picture is so funny. Oh my god. I'm crying. You have to see this picture.
Okay. I'm going to the bathroom.
You're a hunter. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh.
Andy and Jack were talking about your hunting experience.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Okay, just to clarify, I'm not an actual hunt. Did they tell you that I actually hunt?
They were sharing a story about how you... actually, I think it was about how you were really good at sharing stories, even if they're not 100% factual,
Yeah.
and you can really captivate an audience.
Or lies.
So they... they were explaining, I think you guys went to Wenatchee maybe, or
Yeah.
Winthrop,
Yep.
and you had a whole bar just waiting on every word.
There was a group of people that were listening to what I was saying for whatever reason, and I don't know what happens after I have a couple beers, but I feel like I get to a point where I can, it's like, oh, let's see where this goes. And there was an instance where I was telling a hunting story that never happened because I don't hunt, unfortunately. And I don't like to think of them as lies. They're just jokes that are extended. They're extended jokes. It's not a lie if you tell a punchline a week later or a year later. No. It's a story that I made up about hunting because I don't hunt. And I think it kind of became a running joke in the band Whiskey Fever, because I would, I'm clearly not a hunter, at least in my mind. I don't know if most people can spot that when they see me. They might. That's why I grew this beard,
I knew it.
Yeah, to hide the fact that maybe he does hunt.
Keep the lie going.
Yeah, so the joke. It's a running joke. It's a running gag. But I started, okay, so I think it started when we walked into a specific bar and there were mounted deer heads, and I like to joke around about stuff that I'm obviously not an expert on. So I'd be like, should I go ask the bartender if those are boy deer, the ones with the horns on their head? Calling them horns instead of antlers, just purposefully knowing that I'm using the wrong terminology or whatever. And so it kind of became this joke that I like either I don't hunt, I don't know anything about hunting, or I do hunt, but it's not correct at all. And so leaning into that after a few drinks, I started telling this fictional story about how I like to go hunting, which is always in top and tails, full tuxedo, preferably with a monocle, out in the woods. And I typically, my hunting instrument of choice is typically a blunderbuss that has been in the family for generations.
And what is that?
Blunderbuss is like when you see, and maybe this is more, because I know you're Canadian, so this might be more of a Thanksgiving trope of the.
I've seen Bugs Bunny.
Okay, well,
so does that help?
It might. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I describe it. It's like it's like an old school rifle that has a long, or like a wide barrel.
Almost
at the
like a
end, like a
trumpet that
bell.
goes out?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, like a
Okay.
bell. It bells out at the end, and you
Got
kind of just stuff it. I think people would just stuff it with whatever was around them. They don't
Rocks.
Yeah, and it was more like buckshot sort of thing, and then they would just throw a bunch of black powder in that and see what happened.
Okay.
It was very scientific, I think. So that's what I would describe as my hunting instrument, and so I would.
So once you got to that line,
Yeah.
people would be like, wait a minute.
Well,
Was that the...
not everybody heard every detail about
Okay.
this. It was a loud bar, so
Okay.
there was a lot of
Yeah.
chatting going on and music and drama happening, which
Yeah.
I'm sure Andy Brown can tell you a story of some fun stories of just how weird those bars can get. Anyway,
well, actually, speaking of that, Andy needs to come on this.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
No, at this point, from what I've heard from Shane's episode, was that he doesn't need to. Actually, it would probably be best if he didn't, just because he hasn't yet, and it's
True.
just this, and that he's already sort of been on proxy other people.
We need to start telling jokes about Andy so that he has to, like I said, he has to come on the podcast and defend himself.
Right.
So
yeah. Exactly.
So
okay, maybe one day. Maybe look for the 100th episode or something. Something the centennial will be the big Andy Brown.
Yeah.
And so so it's a loud bar, a lot going on. I'm fairly buzzed, and so is everyone else around. So I don't think everybody sort of was keyed in on all the details that I was saying, not remembering, because this didn't actually happen. But so it would be full top and tails with my blunderbuss, and of course I wouldn't load it. I would say that I had my my servant, because now I'm portraying myself as some sort of
trophy hunter.
Yeah, trophy
rich.
hunter. Aristocratic sort of, like, oh, I don't load my own gun sort of thing.
I'm not a
so they would be loaded for me, and the form that I would take would be I would aim by raising my blunderbuss and looking away because I don't like all the flash and the smoke. And I would pull the trigger, and I would say that my favorite part about hunting would be about a week or two or a few weeks later when I actually find out what it was that I hit. And so my man would gather whatever it was that was struck and have it professionally taxidermied for me, and then it'd be presented to me in my lounge with my giant fireplace and with the rest of my fictional. So this is the story I was telling, the hunting story, if you will. So anyway, this lady was sort of hearing bits and pieces of my story, and she got really excited because her husband's an avid hunter, like an actual hunter who knows how to hunt with a real gun, and ran off to get him somewhere else. He wasn't next to me in the bar, and pulled him. He's like, "Oh, honey, this guy hunts." And then I'm just continuing telling my story, and the guy, I guess, just kind of leans in, and he gets really disappointed very quickly. I didn't witness this happening. I was in the throes of my fictional story, and I guess he didn't think it was as funny as I thought.
Okay. But so Bad Chuck was back then, and they were playing in the garage at Bob's house in like Northern Cedar Woolley, and we played Ultimate Frisbee with Bob. And he had ordered a bunch of like brand new Frisbees, and so like me and my brother each got like 2 of them, gave him money for them, and so we were going to pick them up. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just having band practice, stop by." And I'm like, I was like 14, and we like go into this garage, and it's the first time I've ever seen like a band set up.
Cool.
And I'd never met Jack before. I'd only kind of met Bob a few times.
Are you guys roughly the same age?
Jack's older there. I walk in, and they're like, jamming and stuff, and I was like, oh, being like a 14-year-old kid, like asking a couple guitar questions here and there. And my brother's like, "Oh yeah, my brother plays guitar," and which was rare for back then. My brother made fun of me for playing guitar forever because he would tell me I suck all the time. And
but in front of other people,
he was like, actually, he plays, and
he's like, "Don't make fun of my brother. I will."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
typical brother.
Jack's like, "Oh, you play guitar?" and hands me his guitar.
On the spot?
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And so
no, I have to impress him.
Yeah, and I'm like 14. I'd been playing guitar like a year and a half, and so I'm like, all right, let me play some AC/DC songs. And,
I'm gonna play Wagon Wheel, guys.
Yeah, fuck. Oh no. And so but they jammed with me, and like they figured it out, and they're like, "Oh, he's playing, an AC/DC song. We'll play it with him," and kind of, just jam with the kid. And I was like, my first time ever playing with like a drummer and a bass player, and I think there was another guitar player. For some reason, I feel like there was, but I don't remember who it would have been. But yeah, that was my first time meeting Jack. Was at that time. I've reminded him about that somewhat in the past couple of years, and just like, "Hey, I met you at this one point," and I still remembered this blue paisley guitar that he had. It was a Fender Telecaster that was like blue with like paisley on it, and he was saying something to me like a year ago. He's like, "Yeah, I kind of want to get like an electric again." I was like, "Don't you still have that blue paisley guitar?" He's like, "Yeah, how do you know that?" And I was like, told him the story.
So when did you first pick up a guitar? Like how? Like what made you want to
I had this neighbor whose boyfriend played guitar, and I saw him play, and I was like, I want to learn how to do that. And so he gave me wrote down on a piece of paper, musiciansfriend.com, which back then was kind of like the only online music retailer. And I went on there and found like the cheapest decent acoustic guitar I could find and bought it for my birthday. And I begged my mom to let me use my birthday money to order online, because back then it's probably either you had two options, PayPal or credit card online, you know. And I didn't have anything like that when I was 12, so
you were 12.
I was 12, yeah, and so she had to do it for me. It was my 12th birthday, and got an acoustic guitar, and I just started going from there. And then like every year for my birthday, the next following years, I bought a new guitar. So
how many guitars do you have?
Currently, right now, 9.
Oh, okay.
So
you're not like as bad as Charlie.
Not Charlie level. No.
I love that we both knew that. He has probably the most out of anyone, right? I'd say.
I mean, around here, definitely, yeah. He's got like a closet. Well, it's not even a closet. It's probably a bedroom. Like if you from this frame right here, like this way almost, it's like a room that big.
Wow.
With just shelves on it with guitar cases with tape on them to tell you what's in it. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had only met Miguel like last summer. We were playing a show up in Birdsview. And he came up and like kind of talked to us and stuff. And he was telling, you know, him and his... Actually, I think he told the story on the show.
Oh, how he came up with the name.
Yeah, with him and Trevor talking. So it was at that show. And I was like, oh, you guys are starting a band. That's awesome. You know, where are you guys from? And they're like, oh, we're from Concrete. And I was like, oh, do you know the name Sarah Wenrick, which is my wife's maiden name?
Oh, she's from Concrete.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, that's my wife. And they're like, your wife? And I was like, yeah, you know, married, have a kid. And all this, and we'll come to find out they were really good friends with her younger brother, and they used to be in a band together. And
really?
They're like, yeah, we've known Sarah forever, and I was like, oh, funny. So we just small town connections like that.
So what's his name?
Her brother's name, Caleb. He's not really playing actively anymore.
I feel like I've heard of Caleb. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He lives in Darrington now.
Okay.
But yeah, so he was in a band with them called Salt Marsh Caterpillar. I believe that was the name. Miguel can correct me if I'm wrong.
Name.
I'm pretty sure that's the name.
I'm gonna make merch and not tell him.
That's
and
amazing.
I'm gonna show up to a show
wearing a Salt Marsh Caterpillar. That'd be amazing.
That's awesome. So that was the first time you met Miguel.
Yeah, that was, and then same with Spencer.
I thought that I was a heavy hitter, and then I saw Spencer play. He hits hard.
Does he?
He hits hard, yeah. Everyone tells me that I hit the drums hard, but it's like, no.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Spencer yet.
Wait, is that why you work out? So you can hit the drums harder?
No, not at all.
Oh. Wait, so you can golf better?
So I can golf better.
We should do Skagit Storytellers playoff where you and Spencer play each other at golf.
Okay.
I wonder if you'd win.
Ooh,
I think you're the only two golfers I've had on.
Well, if that's true, then everyone else, you need to get on golf because it's really great. We should go golfing together, and you should do a podcast during the 18 holes during the round.
Yeah,
that'd be
so
fun.
While Spencer's hitting, you talk shit about him.
Yes.
And then while
yes, I like this idea. Yes,
you guys will be throwing out like drumming terms at each other that are like digs.
You don't even know how to paradiddle or flam. You're pathetic.
Those are not words.
Those are words.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
What do they mean?
They're rudiments. What
does that mean?
Oh, geez. Where do I start? Yeah, I think your podcast it's almost like a little bit of a therapy session for some of these guys. Oh, yeah, you said we can say the F word. This isn't the radio anymore.
It's not. You're like, finally.
This podcast is way better than Jeff's.
Do you have any good stories about firefighting? Like, did you almost die? I don't know. Is that a fake leg? I don't know.
No, I didn't almost die. And if you're going to put me on the spot like that.
Well, my episode's called Skagit Storytellers. I assumed you would come with some stories.
I didn't put two and two together.
So,
we should probably...
You're like,
everything I said, Jeff, I'm sorry. And like, we should probably end
one
now.
word answers, rag on Jeff, and swear a lot.
Shoot. Let me think about that. Okay. I kind of just viewed it as we'll just BS for like an hour. Do you know Christine Miller Cartwright?
Yeah.
I guess I just want to do a shout out kind of to her and kind of tie that into what you're doing here. Mm-hmm. I just remember when we were first starting, and you talked to Jeff about this. I was listening to that today. And you're talking about how the first year we had so many shows and right? And we did. It would be like weekends with 4 shows, 3 shows every weekend. I just remember first starting out, no one knows about us, and Christine would always be there, and she would always be filming, and she would almost always post it on YouTube, like the full set.
Yeah.
And just the enthusiasm from Christine in those beginning days, for me, and I'm pretty sure I'm talking about for the other guys too. It was just like, if no one else is here, no one else cares, who cares? Because Christine is here, and she thinks this is awesome.
Yeah.
So just having that one person that kind of galvanized the whole thing in my mind is just like very valuable.
That's cool.
Yeah. So Christine, you're awesome.
So you have one fan.
We have Christine and then relatives. I love what you're doing here, by the way.
Thanks.
It's really cool that you just decided, like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I remember when we did the radio show, you were like, turning 40 is great. You just wait. It is so good for you. You just don't care, and you're just like, why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah.
Are you going to edit out that part?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Who knows? Word might come around. Like, did you hear fucking Liz Rankin talking shit?
No.
The next year, it was saxophone, and I was a horrible student. I was not learning at all.
Like you didn't practice?
I didn't practice.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't reading the music. Half the time, I wasn't playing the instrument. And there was one of my classmates, she got so mad at me. She was like, hey, he's not playing his instrument. It's like...
She told on you?
Yeah, she told on me, and the whole class could see it. And I'm just sitting there, with my saxophone. And now looking back, I wish I chose the trumpet. I see one
Can you
on
play?
your fridge right now. No, I cannot play a trumpet. But I hear a trumpet. I love jazz music, and I hear a trumpet, and it's just one of the coolest sounds. After 6th grade, we moved to Concrete, and I didn't want to play band. I didn't want to be in band anymore. I was signed up for band the first day of school, and then I went to the teacher. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm going to switch classes. I was in band last year, and I did not like it. It wasn't cool. No, thank you. I've got no interest in music. But
wow, it's so weird to hear Miguel say, I had no interest in music.
It was the truth.
So what was the turning point?
Boredom, yeah. 8th grade. Boredom. It was the last day of 8th grade. I stayed home.
You didn't go to school?
I didn't go to school my last day. My parents were like, you don't have to go. Those days don't mean anything. I was like, right on, I'm not going.
As a teacher, I'm not going to argue with you, but I cannot agree with you.
I mean, there's something nice about those last days. You're little obligation. You're just hanging out with your friends, saying bye. It's fun. They probably have activities for you to do. I don't give a damn about those activities.
So you stayed home.
So I stayed home, and my sister, she moved out several years before me.
Oh, so she's older?
She's older, and she had a bass guitar that she left at the house, and it was just sitting in the corner. And I was like, what am I going to do on this last day of school, stuck at home? And I look at the bass, and I'm like, I'm going to learn how to play bass.
What?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I just picked it up, pulled the book out of our cupboard or drawer, and I just started playing.
Wow.
And then I was like glued to it.
Really?
For days and days and days. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. It's kind of therapy for me to write.
Yeah.
Because all my songs are very close to me. They're I wouldn't say they're not happy songs. They're not. they're when I'm playing music with my band, pretty much nothing. I'm not really going for harmony and melody and trying to get a hook with these songs. Trying to make them presentable and likable. It's like I want to scream. I want to raise my voice. Yeah. I want to sing about what my life is about or what's going on in my life, and it's good therapy.
And the people that will like it will like it.
Yeah.
There's only one line that I ever remember from your songs. I haven't even seen you guys play that often, but you sing I want to do my taxes with you. I love that part.
Now that song is completely made up.
I love it. It's great.
That's our only song that
what do you mean it's made up?
It doesn't mean anything. Harassing me on Facebook.
I think I only asked you once.
You asked me once.
And you said no, and I left you alone.
No. And then you asked me why I hated you. And I didn't have a good answer to that. You know, I knew I hated her, but I'll do her podcast anyway. No.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
No problem.
I try to be true to my word. I try to be early places, and if I tell you I'm not going, I ain't going. You know? I get these little spurts. I'm not shy in public, but I'm not prone to conversation. But I can be loud in public. Like if you see me at Walmart, oh man.
If you see me at Walmart,
just walk the other way.
How did you come up with that name?
We went to go see Lazy Acres, and we talked to the guys after the show, and they were like, "So, you guys are a band?"
Yeah.
And one of us was like, "Well, right now we're pretty much nothing." Which is the truth. We're like, we're just playing music together. We're not a band right now. We're pretty much nothing. And they were like, "Well, there you go. There's your band name."
Really?
And it was just like, boom.
That's hilarious. Who said that in Lazy Acres?
I think it was Trevor.
Okay. Trevor named your band.
I wasn't really in this music scene until, I don't know, 2000s.
Yeah.
I started out playing music when I was about 17. My dad was a musician, so when they needed a drummer or a fill-in, I got to go do that. I was playing in blues bands and stuff down in Snohomish and King County, and it wasn't until I was playing with this band at the Edison, not having the greatest time. It must have been obvious, I don't know. And Michelle Montoya, who I hadn't seen since high school, came in and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about putting a band together. Would you be interested?" And like, hell yes.
Get me out of here.
Yeah. And then the Saturday Saints started, and I played with them for a number of years.
Who were they?
That was Michelle, Eli, Montoya, and Kurt Small, and myself.
Oh, okay.
And,
so that was before Gin Gypsy. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And that was my contact with Fanny, Alger and stuff. I really didn't know any of those guys. And the first time I met Shane, I remember the first time I met Shane was at his house, and we went over to record some vocals. The whole band did. We were going to do some background vocals for one of their songs, like Last American Bar Band, I think is the song. And I walked to the door, and Shane, I'm standing there with everybody, and he's just hugging everybody. And I don't know him, but I get a hug. And his wife Holly comes out and gives me a hug. And I'm like, "Oh, you guys are cool." But that's just kind of people they are. They're just really sweet. You talk with Shane, and you talk with Scott, and neither of them really talked about the Vicious Badgers, which is not music related.
No, it's. Are you in the Vicious Badgers?
Well, I am. I'm patched.
What does that mean, patched?
You remember.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't ridden a long time. My scooter's kind of...
So is it scooters or motorbikes? Or
scooters.
Motorcycles.
They're
okay.
50 cc's of pure power.
Scott rode his over here.
There you go.
Yeah. And I know that's what the album's called, Vicious
Badgers.
Yeah. So how did that come about?
I don't know how it came about exactly, other than Quinn was riding a lot. And I think Shane rides motorcycles and stuff, and I think that just kind of came about. But I've ridden big motorcycles and stuff for years, and the first time I rode with them, I've never been more nervous about being on two wheels ever.
Why?
I think it's just because of the people that were there, and they're so small. And I borrowed Quinn's, one of Quinn's, because they all have like 20 of them.
Really?
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. It's like a drug when you get into it.
Wow, that's funny. I didn't know that.
I've controlled myself. I only have one. I did have two. But
so you're not hoarding bikes.
I am not.
Just Trump stuff.
Just Trump. There's not enough room in my storage unit. But yeah, it's a great time, and I've never laughed any harder in my life than going out and riding these stupid little bikes.
So, like,
these days.
where do you ride? Like, can you ride on the road?
They're street legal.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not very fast.
Okay.
We did a run where we started at Scott's place, and we went up to Lyman.
Like on Highway 20?
Yeah, for a little stretch.
How fast can they go?
I just put a new muffler on mine, so I can hit about 26.
Wait, 26 miles per hour?
Yes.
You're allowed to drive on the road?
Oh yeah, they're street legal. But I don't know if they're technically legal for highways, but we went on the highway anyways.
Why don't you just take the Cascade trail?
Yeah, that's what we should do. But it's like a big. You
stay on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we just go bar hopping, essentially. The funniest thing was to go to Oyster Run and ride all these giant bikes, and then we're all showing up on our scooters.
What?
Yeah, there's Rukia, Loretta, and Buttercup. No, Buttercup is funny enough. Buttercup is named after one of my favorite strippers from when I was like 18 or 19. It was a gal that was like just a very fun night, and her dancer name was Buttercup.
Yeah. Did you grow up watching wrestling?
Yes, I still do to this day. It's like one of my favorite things on TV. I always love when people like talk about how it's fake, like that's going to like faze me, being like, wow, so have you ever watched TV or a movie, do you think Keeping Up with the Kardashians is real? Like, that's not real. They're
And you were saying that before that you did lots of karaoke?
Yes. In the early 90s, I was the karaoke queen here in this valley. I have the award to prove it.
Wait, you actually have an award?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
My best friend bought me a silver award. It's not like it was awarded to me like from... the karaoke guys, but
the karaoke Federation.
My best friend Bobby gave me a gift, said number one karaoke singer. So, but it was something I enjoyed doing. I had a lot of fun, met a lot of people. I was extrovert. I mean, I didn't introduce myself to people that I was a musician because I hadn't started really playing and being serious about it yet.
Yeah.
But I'd go up and I'd said, I really enjoyed your set. I love that song that you did, or that cover, the way you arranged it in such a way you kind of made it your own type of thing.
Yeah.
That sort of thing I talked to people about. I was like building other people up. I wasn't trying to, put myself
here's my
blasting.
card.
Yeah, I wasn't doing any of that.
So I was subbing for that band, and I did a couple shows with them. I played this garden party. It was June 25th. I just found the flyer because and it's pretty crazy because I have the flyer right the night we met. So for the show, so I was like, oh wow, look at this, and so I had a good time at the party. I was driving home. I was, do you know Redmond at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
I was by Microsoft.
Okay,
I was on the freeway doing like 70, and a deer comes out, and I hit this deer, and I must have like hit it up to the moon because I never saw it again. Right? It was just, but it wrecked my car.
Oh man!
And I pulled over, and my car was just leaking fluid, and I was like. I was a mile from home, or I was a mile to my friend was having a solstice party, and so I was like, I'll go to the party, right? Because it would be like go home and cry, or
I'll go over here and drink
and go, yeah. And so I show up, and I'm like starving. I'm like eating whatever's left over on the party table, and just like and I see my wife, and she's singing "Oh Canada" in front of the fire.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah, wasted, right? And so my first thing was like, who the fuck is it? I was mad, right? I was already mad. I wrecked my car.
Yeah.
Like I drove it here.
Now you have
like,
to listen to this shit.
Yeah, I was probably not going to be able to pull out of there again. So I was like, okay, I'm going to party. But throughout the night, like I don't know, I just really like. She's fun, right? And so we had a good time. We stayed up, till I don't even know how late, but whatever, late enough. And then I got her number, and she just happened to come down to this party through a friend of. They were just coming down to party. Like,
when you said you got her number, I instantly thought of it was 604, right?
It's 604. Yeah, it's 604. Oh yeah.
I remember when. Everything was 604.
It's still 604.
Well, no, and then they changed it. So 604 is generally Vancouver, but the rest of BC is 250.
Oh, okay.
And that was huge. Everyone's like, what? 2 area codes.
So I started on flute in band, and then hated it. I didn't want to play flute. I wanted to play saxophone really bad. But then my parents are like, well, you have to start with either a flute or with a clarinet in order to play saxophone. And it wasn't their rule. It was the school band's rule.
Oh.
It's like the entry level, I don't know, wind instruments, I guess.
Okay.
So you have to start with flute or clarinet. So I started on flute because we had one. So they're like, yeah, so you're going to graduate up and you're going to get to saxophone, possibly. But then I practiced up on flute, got it for 2 years. Didn't really like the band atmosphere that much and playing sheet music.
Like concert band type thing? Okay, yeah.
And I really wanted to play jazz flute once I got into flute. My teacher was like, it's not a jazz instrument. You cannot join jazz band. I was like, come on, there's Matt Eagles of jazz flutists. There's a lot of jazz flute out there.
Well, an Anchorman. You saw Anchorman, right?
No, it's a thing. But
That's what I think
they're like, no, flute's not a jazz instrument. So I was like, And I wasn't really performing well in school, I guess. I was like a chair 6 or 5, out of like 6 or 5. My parents are like, well, you can't quit band until you try a little harder, and you have to be the first chair in order to quit. So I had 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks in, and I made first chair. Challenged everybody. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You did that so you could quit.
Yep. And then I played flute. I learned how to play by ear because in order to play by ear, I really kind of had to unlearn a lot of like the reliance on sheet music. So I learned how to play by ear and then played with a folk band, like my family band.
Do you have any shows coming up?
Not currently. No.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm open to it though. Normally I get like invited and then I'll do them.
So, because you were just saying your friend in Seattle would call you up and say, do you want to come play?
Yeah.
So you don't
normally that's how I do. Same with like Miguel calling me up. Like it's the same thing.
That's so funny. So you don't seek out shows, like
generally
the shows
not.
seek out you.
Yeah.
That's
like,
so funny.
I'll do it.
I love it. You're really talented. Like,
thank you.
It's just funny. You're just sitting there like, I hope someone calls, but you're not even like, I hope someone calls me for a show. You're just doing your own thing. You're like making a pot, and then you're like, oh, what? You need to, sure. Like, let me just finish this.
Too many hobbies. Like,
let me finish this vase.
Yeah. Actually, though, like,
I love it.
My music space is the same as my art space.
My first experience really hearing music was I was about 4 years old. I was at my grandparents' house. It's in Indiana, Richmond, Indiana, and that's where my mom's from, Indiana. And we were there, and he was putting on an Elvis record, like a '70s live concert. It was Elvis live in Memphis, Tennessee was a record, like in '74 when it came out. I know all this stuff, and I just remember sitting in front of these huge speakers that dwarfed me, and I was like 4, and he's playing this record, and Elvis had this song medley on there. It was a bunch of 50s hits just played in a medley, and I was just like, whoa, what is this? Like, just amazed by it.
And you remember that? You were 4?
Oh yeah, I remember vividly.
What's a band like a current band when you were a kid that you liked? Like, were you into like Pearl Jam or like Nirvana or?
I'm not really into Pearl Jam actually, but I used to be obsessed with Nirvana.
Really?
My nickname in high school was Dain Cobain.
Really?
My hair was literally down to here.
Was it?
Actually, I just cut it like a year ago. It was about down to here a year ago.
Oh wow.
And I used to color my hair like with permanent markers in high school, so like green and blue and stuff. And and I was obsessed with the grunge thing, and all my jeans were ripped, and and so everyone was just like Dain Cobain.
Is that why you moved to the Pacific Northwest?
No, actually.
Okay. What's the most expensive thing that you've broken?
Well, I don't know if it was expensive, except for the way my mother reacted, you would think it was expensive. They just planted this new cherry tree in the yard. I think it was a cherry tree.
Okay.
It was a fruit tree to be. And it was this nice tree, and it was planted in the yard, and I was probably 15 or 16, and I was driving there riding lawnmower, and I was mowing the lawn, being a nice...
Is it your first time mowing the lawn?
No.
Okay.
No, but it was my first time going around that tree. And I hit it with the cover for the blade because I just didn't account for that on the other side of me, and I just hit it and just knocked it over. And my mom didn't get mad at me very often. I can think about probably 2 times, and that was one of them. She was very upset, but I don't think she was she was mad at me.
Did she call you by your full name?
My name's Jack Mattingly. I don't have a middle name.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
What's your middle name?
I don't have
That's one of the cards. What's your middle name?
I don't have a middle name.
You really don't?
I really don't. My license is in my car. I'd show you. It's in my wallet. It's just Jack asterisk Mattingly. Okay. Because I don't have a middle name. My dad doesn't either. He's just Sam
Do people
Mattingly.
not believe you?
Yeah, a lot of people don't believe me.
So that's why you're angry right now?
Well, no, it's the fact that you don't believe me. I mean, come on. If you're going to try to go up against Rogie.
Rogie?
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone call him that. That's awesome. I like that.
If you're going to knock him off the top of the charts. you're gonna need to, 1, get more mics, and 2, get better guests.
Did you listen to Anthony's episode?
And Anthony who?
My last episode.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about Joe Rogan.
Nope.
I was like, no, I don't think so. No, I haven't. I haven't at all.
It's really good. But my point is, at the very beginning, he said, I feel like I'm on Joe Rogan. And I was like, thank you. My friend said that I wanted to be the Joe Rogan of Skagit Valley. And it's true, I do.
Yeah? Oh, am I the Alex Jones of Skagit County? Dang it. Man.
Actually, Zach called you...
the Alex Jones of his heart?
No, on the first episode, he called you... Was it Tom Petty? The Tom Petty of Skagit Valley, I think.
He's just trying to get in my pants. He knew I would love that reference.
I'll probably cut that part out.
Yeah, no kidding. Cut the whole thing out. This isn't the one.
No,
this
it is.
Not. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I'm not going to approve it. So that's what it has to go through me. And I have a say in it because I'm in it. So I know it's not going to air. You can have that hub ad.
The bug to actually play, like, in front of people, I got to see Eric Clapton when I was, like, maybe 16.
Oh.
At Key Arena. Now it's Climate Pledge Arena. And we were, like, up in the nosebleeds, you know. And I was, like... I had been playing guitar for a couple years, but, like, didn't really know enough to know the gravity of the situation. And it's like now I know all the musicians that were playing with him that night, and it's like, oh my God, like I got to see them even though I didn't know it. But I remember there being a moment they were playing I Shot the Sheriff, which is like not my favorite song, whatever, but they did this awesome breakdown and he goes into this guitar solo, and I remember just like, I get goosebumps now talking about it, but like I remember getting that, and just it was almost like I was in a trance. And I remember just like kind of snapping out of it, but not really, and looking around and realizing that like everybody's feeling this right now, and he's making that happen. And it's like, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to make people feel that. So it's like now every time I play, even if I'm like down, I got to remind myself, it's like, this is why you get to do this, because it could just be one person, but like make them feel something.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that, then you shouldn't be up here.
Yeah.
Like so that gave me that bug for sure. So that was the first time that I saw Cody.
Oh, really?
And it like Charlie said, he's like, it brought him to tears, you know, and like me, like the hair standing up, and both Stacy and I are just like, yeah, this is the real deal. Like it's that authenticity that you just can't fake. And like people try to figure out what the formula is, you know, but that's Cody is what he's doing, and it definitely comes through. And like not only his writing, but his delivery of it too, which is like so much, you know. You can have a great song or a great poem or something, but it's like if you have that delivery to match it, then it just drives it home.
You don't really talk during shows, right?
Not really. I try not to. Yeah, they give me a microphone, but if I only get 200 words per gig, so I have to use them wisely. Probably just riding around in the old Subaru Legacy, listening to cassette tapes with her.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember if I was telling you. I think it was that she had like 5 or 6 tapes that she had, you know, made mixtapes onto over the years, and one of my favorites had Judas Priest on there, and the other one, it was weird because a lot of more heavy metal stuff too, which I didn't get quite as into, but Judas Priest, Metallica. Well, I think my favorite one on there she had was Megadeth, Symphony of Destruction.
Wow.
That one, yeah. So when I got to see those guys in Seattle at the Moore Theater when I was like 15, and they played that, I was like, oh man, Mom would be proud of me right now if she saw this. She was here.
If you had to give one up, would you give up the drums or would you give up golf?
Oh,
you have to pick.
I don't think I could pick. I think at that point, just call it a day. That is a tough question. I think I would have to. I think I'd have to give up the golf.
Yeah.
That would absolutely devastate me. But I feel like I could play the drums pretty well into my older years as opposed to golf. Because golf, once you get to 40, you can't really turn the arms as far back.
Once you get to 40?
Yeah, once you're an old man.
Shut up.
No, that would be really tough. I would have to think about that for a while.
Okay, if you did a poll, I'm pretty sure you could find way more old golfers than old drummers.
Way more old good golfers? Yeah, there's a lot out there.
And so now knowing
we have to go on TikTok.
Well, here's part of my resistance is that every social media platform becomes commercialized and then it's no longer cool.
Right.
And I joined Instagram just as it was becoming commercialized, and so it's like that's my main platform now, and it's not cool. If I jump onto TikTok now, I think it's going to become commercialized within like the next year.
You're going to ruin it.
And then I will be part of what ruins it. So what I'm planning is to wait until TikTok either gets shut down or it just becomes uncool. And then I'll like leapfrog it.
That's awesome.
Onto the next platform. My dad had the Graceland cassette tape.
Oh, nice.
And when he would leave for work, I would sneak into his room and steal it. And then I'd listen to it all day long, and then I would make sure to rewind it and put it back so that when he got home from work, he wouldn't know that I had.
Why could you not listen to it?
He was really finicky. Like he had a whole bunch of CDs that we used to scratch up. Like me and my brothers would scratch the CDs, and then he couldn't listen to Pink Floyd anymore, and he was so upset. And so Graceland was the one that we never. I don't remember ever having it on disc, but we had it on cassette.
That's so
and so
funny.
it was like, don't touch my stuff when I'm at work.
I think we kind of crashed it with a camcorder. There's actually some footage somewhere of
really?
That. Yeah. But it was the original Stagnant lineup. It was the Shane, Jason Loeb, Jerry Steamer, and Tim Fisher. You know, again, it's just one of those mind-blown experiences. I mean, they were so... Shane has got a... Like, he's just naturally an entertainer. I mean, when they play, no matter what band he's playing in, if he's the front man, he just captures your attention. It's just like, you're laughing with them. It's all eyes on the band. They're just super good. And Tim, I've always been like, Tim is just, he's like the cool drummer guy. He makes it look so easy. You just watch. It's like, again, hate him too.
So was Mark Zappa always like, is he the Grange guy?
He was the guy, yeah.
I kind of want to talk to him now too.
He would be a great guy to talk to.
Shane was like, that's a whole episode. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Call him.
Yeah, he's really responsible for getting that whole thing started. And I mean, and that Rexville Grange, that pretty much supplied a venue and an outlet for bands and kids to go for years to come, and it was a big deal. And Andy Brown and a friend of ours, Craig, Dr. Craig, he's a podiatrist. Okay. So it was me, Andy Brown, and Craig. We were going to go to the LaConner Smelt Derby. It's one of the it's this big event that they used to have every winter in LaConner. Basically, the whole town comes out on a Saturday, and it's just drink fest, Yeah. But everybody fishes for smell. You get prizes for the biggest or the smallest or the most amount. So we were going to the Smelt Derby. So we met up at 6:00 in the North Fork of the Skagit River, got in a boat, we with a 6-pack and a fifth of Crown Royal. And which we, polished off most of it by the time we got to Goat Island, which is this little island just before you hit the LaConner Channel. Yeah. And all the bars and all the restaurants are waterfront restaurants on the channel. So, there's people there all over the place.
Yeah.
We got out, drank a fifth, got back in the boat, got to the LaConner Channel right as we're about to, come into the main drag of it. Somebody, I think Craig, stood up to take a leak, capsized us. All three of us went in the water. So there's 3 guys, and we're talking like last weekend in January. It's cold.
Oh my God.
The water is cold.
And how deep is it?
The channel, it's deep enough.
So you're treading water.
Yeah, you could drown. Oh, absolutely.
My God.
There's a million floating empty beer cans in the water. People are gathering on the shore, and people are looking. And Andy's out there trying to save his boat. I'm trying to save my ass. So I, of course, I was wearing snow boots, and they were weighing me down.
Oh my God.
So I actually had to swim to this boat that was docked at this cannery on the channel, climb up onto the boat, and walk across it. And all the people on the boat are like, "Whoa, where'd you come from?" They're just like freaking out.
Yeah.
And so eventually, all 3 of us got to shore. And the volunteer fire department for the city of Lacana, Washington, showed up, threw us in the back, made us strip down to our underwear because of hypothermia, cranked up the heat, and it's like, unbeknownst to us, the sheriff's department showed up and ran all our IDs from the bag of wet clothes that we handed them. Our dumb drunk asses handed them. And this, the sheriff looks in there and goes, "Hey, which one of you is Matt Specht?" I'm like, me? He goes, "I got a warrant for your arrest. I got to take you to, sorry, I got to cuff you."
Oh
I'm like, what? So I'm like, okay. So I stand up. The volunteer fire department says, "Sorry, bro, I got to take that blanket from you." So the guy cuffs me in my underwear, walks me across the street. Meanwhile, there's people crowded on the shore of Shelter Bay watching, like, who's Gandhi over there? Whoa, what's going on, Takes me to the sheriff's car and drives me to the county lockup in Mount Vernon, the Skagit County lockup. So
you started your day fishing.
I started my day fishing. I ended up in jail.
So the moral of the story is don't hang out with Andy Brown.
Yeah, don't drink in Andy's boat.
Don't drink in Andy's boat.
It became a song called Channel, oddly enough.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to talk to Shane a whole lot?
No, he's coming on Monday.
So, but have you,
we text a little bit.
But you haven't conversed with him yet?
No.
Oh.
I've never met him in person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in for
Am I in for it?
Oh, God. Yeah.
What does he like to drink? What should I restock my fridge with?
I think he likes beer and probably coffee. Maybe an energy drink. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried now. No.
Oh, don't be. No. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll just say go, and then he'll just...
He's probably... as far as a front man for a band, I don't know if you could get a better one.
Really?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't think you could.
Yeah.
He's just such a good front man. He's always got the right thing to say.
Yeah.
At the right time.
Yeah.
He's just entertaining.
Yeah.
That kid's talented.
I've seen him play a few times.
You ever heard him? You ever heard his voice?
I think so, because he's played the Hub a few times solo.
Sweet as stupid little honey, that kid's voice, man. I shit you not. When it really happened is, I believe it was August 27th, 1990.
Okay.
Stevie Ray Vaughan died.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, I've been living with my good friend Mike Ludwig, and there's a knock on the door, and I open it, and it's Andy Brown and Brian Marcus, and they're all sad, and they got a bottle of whiskey. I think it was Jim Beam, might have been Jack Daniels, and they were like, "Hey, do you hear? Stevie Ray Vaughan died." So we started drinking whiskey, and then we called another one of our buddies, and I had this old shitty drum kit set up in the living room, and we kind of jammed a little bit, best we could. I think we played Cab Driver from Lenny Kravitz, a couple things. Yeah. That's how, and then we were doing fun adventures. We were doing canoe trips and shit like that.
Yeah.
And
so you had that first band with him. What was it called again?
Hindu Grass.
Okay, where'd that name come from?
Inside of a Jane's Addiction album cover. Yeah, one of our members and I remember we were looking at it, and we opened it up, and it was just this like shelf of all these potions and shit, and one of the things on there said Hindu Grass. It's like, that's a cool band name.
So then how long were you guys in that band? Like, did you record stuff?
Yeah, we did a little recording at Binary Studios with Eric Janko. He's this local engineer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Bob, shit, I can't remember the guy who owned the studio. So we recorded up there. We did a 5-track little EP thing. We'd never been in a studio before, so it was really fun.
So Hindu Grass was first, and then Pavlov Jones?
And then Pavlov. Hindu Grass lasted from about early 91 to about 94, and then it kind of ended. And then it was like probably later in 94, we rounded up a couple other guys. We rounded up Johnny Caulfield. Three of us out of Hindu Grass, Andy Brown, Rob Blackwell, and myself. We rounded up Matt Leslie he comes later. Matt Specht and Johnny Caulfield.
I started playing music in 1987 with a band called Stagnant Water.
In this area? Like, are you from Mount Vernon?
Yes.
Or
well, I'm from Cedar Woolley.
Sorry. Okay.
From Cedar Woolley, yeah. Grew up on Fidalgo Street.
Okay.
Spent a lot of time out here where you live.
So you graduated from Woolley?
I actually moved. This is crazy. My mom moved us when I was 12 to Mount Vernon, and I was so upset. I was so upset that we were moving to Mount Vernon, because that's basically the enemy, moving to the enemy territory. Yeah. So I lived there. And then over the years, it took a few years, I was like, well, at least it's not Burlington, And so I graduated from Mount Vernon, and I was a bulldog, doing just fine. And then after that, I moved to Burlington. I lived there longer than anywhere. So I am pretty much a a Benedict Arnold of Skagit County and total traitor, but now I live in Burlington.
Well, I'm Canadian and I live here, so.
Oh, are you? Oh, welcome. Welcome. Yeah.
Have you been to Vancouver Island at all?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you able to cross the border?
I swim the channel. I swim straight across.
Why'd you get kicked out of stagnant water?
Depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask. So now that I think about it, Scott was probably just coming in to poach Matt.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like something Scott would do.
It's fishy, isn't it?
If I know Scott,
Yeah.
and I do.
Yeah, fishy. Now that I think about this, I'm getting really bitter. You're really bitter. I'm going to write this down so I don't forget it. Scott. I'm going to call Pretty Much Nothing punk rock. I mean,
that band too.
you know, I would straight up call them punk rock. I don't know if they would agree with that. I would like to tell you some dirt about that band, but I don't have any. Those guys
Pretty
are
Much
just really
Nothing?
nice. Yeah, they're very nice. But back to Scott's story. You know that? Do you know that guy? You know he can hold his breath for an hour?
What? I can't tell if you're leading into a joke or not.
Yeah, he can hold his breath for an hour. But it's what's really weird is he did it by trading his soul to the devil for it. Well, this is off the record. I'm
I'm not recording right now.
I hope not, because I don't want this getting back to him. But full moons on Friday the 13th. There's like it's like the Devil's Farmers Market down there.
What?
Yeah. You don't know this?
No.
How long you lived here?
5 years.
You're so Canadian. So Blue Green and Pavlov Jones get a show at Whitefish, Montana.
Okay.
Thanksgiving weekend, 1993, probably. No, 95. Anyway, we get this gig, 2 nights at the Chandelier in Whitefish, and I had a van. I think the van set me back $800, and it had kind of not really a heater in it, and it had holes in it in like the ceiling and places. And Pavlov Jones, those guys are pretty smart, you know. They rented a van, and they spent like $150 to rent a van. Nice, brand new van. Big plush seats in the back, you know. It was so nice. It was super warm. And we set off, off to Whitefish, Montana. Oh, probably, 14 hours later, we're on just a whiteout conditions. There's no road. You can't see a road anymore. You don't know where you're going. Just straight. Our windshield wipers have frozen up. We don't really have anything except for ice on the windshield. The guys are flicking their cigarette butts through the hole in the ground, and there's snow coming in the hole in the ceiling, and we're freezing. And then we just see, and we're also bad bald tires and bad suspension, and then we just see Pavlov Jones go by us in this nice van. It's all well lit, and they're all eating like French dips. And we're all huddling together. We're like about ready to have frostbite, and they're just like, oh yeah, you like some Grey Poupon? So we get to Whitefish, and we play the first night, and it's not their scene. Our music is not the Whitefish scene. And they kept telling us to turn down. Yeah, we did. And then we played the second night. Same thing. They just were really not super stoked about either of our bands. And the next day we went to collect our money, and instead of our money, there was a note from the owner of the bar that said, "Hey, you guys really let me down, and therefore I'm not paying you." And so we're like, "Oh man!" And we totally got stiffed by this shyster of a bar owner, and of course, once again, Pavlov Jones was a little smart, so they didn't go out to Whitefish with their last $2. They had enough money to get home, and meanwhile, we were like, "Oh boy, how are we gonna get?" So when we came home, we were like, instead of eating food, well, I think the guys got cigarettes because in Montana cigarettes were like $1. There was no tax on them, so we loaded up on cigarettes, and then when it was like time to eat, we were like, "Whoa, pull over to the gas station. Let's get some mustard packets." So we made it home on mustard packets. But yeah, that was our touring story with Pavlov Jones, and of course they played great. And
yeah. Do you want to tell a joke?
No.
Tell a story?
No.
Do you want to sing us out? Do you want to sing the Ricola song?
Ricola!